6? It happens, man. You know,
Yeah,
7
well,
can't.
I'll get ready to say, if you wanted it 5, you should say 4.
Okay. But we can go all night.
What's that beat thing?
I don't know.
Is that a smoke alarm or something?
It might be a lot or something.
Okay. We're winding down. This is official? This is the last?
Yeah, this is the last one here.
This is the last one here.
It ain't the last one. You know what I'm saying?
It's not the last one, but it's the last one here.
Last one.
So we're going to...
Transition.
There you go.
Yeah,
Right.
You know, it's the last one here, but we appreciate Shallow Grave for the last year. The last year. We appreciate that and all. So, so I guess we need to give, well, before I do that and all, we're going to do a recap on the history, on a lot of the significant events of the 1990s in this apocalypse era. So we're going to do a recap on that to line up where we are at this particular time. You know, so we'll go over a few of those into the lecture, a few things into the lecture, as well as on into the going all the way up to the 2000 mark, and pretty much there's some significant things that's actually happening out here, but it's on the level when you see it, you don't recognize them as being significant. But then again, to the government, this is very big shit. We're going to have to get into that also tonight, also, as well as a lot of other things. As we say, this is going on. Let's say about the last year, and maybe the last going on the 2 years of what we call the underworld mysteries or the dark world mysteries. So very advanced stuff. Like I said again, we apologize to the people that's just not getting into consciousness now, and having a little problems with this crazy stuff. We apologize. It's just that be sure to know that some of the people that's been on the path for the last 10, 12, 8, 9, 6, 7 years. And so therefore, if you're just coming into that, we have more than enough information down in cultural communications, black media, as well as websites all over the country, and tons of information on the videos. So you don't even have to go and compile a whole bunch of books for the simple fact that that's my job to do. For the simple fact that we synthesize it all, and we have hundreds of hours of videos. Just my stuff alone, I got at least 100 videos out. But we're just talking about between the late 80s and the late 80s up to now. We literally have just tons and tons of speakers. I mean, just overwhelming speakers dealing with history on into the advanced metaphysics and on into what I call the deepest level of the occult, which is basically my level. So there's a wealth of information for the people that's just now tapping into some stuff and just now waking up. You have the best part about it because it's pretty much easy for you because the ground is set. We had to go about the brothers and sisters that started out 10 years ago, and especially myself, we had to go about carving this stuff out, where to get to next, and basically synthesizing this information. And literally, it's been a long and tedious work. You see, in the face of black people just wasting away to the ultimate form of ignorance that we have seen since we've been here. I don't even think we was that ignorant when we were slaves. So, on one hand, the greatest knowledge in the modern world has been revealed within the last 10, 12, 13 years. But on the other hand, black people have degenerated into a state of some of the worst human beings on the planet and in the universe. 99.9% of all black people are just pure, putrid feces and garbage. And so that and we're not saying these types of things as some type of observation or some type of frustration. We're talking about literally what our people have deteriorated to. But then again, that was prophesied also too. It's only prophecy being fulfilled. But nevertheless, we have to bear the burden of going through this bullshit with millions and millions of black people who are just out of their minds like zombies. A little above an animal level, and it has nothing to do with whether you're educated or whatever, it doesn't matter. For the mere fact that a person is not conscious now in this particular day and age, we're just talking about such a degenerative state. And it doesn't matter whether you're walking around with a $5,000 suit on or whatever. We're just talking about a mind-dead zombie in this particular era is still a mind-dead, brain-dead zombie. And all. But then again, that's a part of prophecy being fulfilled. Based on not just the biblical scriptures, because some people, they say, well, you can twist those words any kind of way you want. But we have tons and tons of scriptures from around the world, from around the ancient world, that is precise on this particular stuff. So we are we are constantly dealing with that type of stuff also too. But then again, on the other hand, when you really look at this thing and all, believe it or not, the Bible itself gives you all this stuff. It's not like the Bible is some type of book that is obscure of ancient mythology. If you go into the Bible, all the stuff is right in there. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of the way the theology is being taught. But all of your ancient scriptures, your Torah, and basically your Quran and all that, the stuff is in there. You just have to dig for it. And so basically the problem here is we got too much theology teaching you a certain way to look at something when you're supposed to be looking at it in a high scientific way. So let's go into let's give the order of the libation so we can get on with this thing and all. Okay, Kosi Ka, Ashe, Ka, Ashe, Melanin, Ashe, Afos, Ashe, Amados, Ashe, Bass, Ashe, Best, Ashe, Nuke, Ashe, Abbott, Ashe, Tyre, Ashe, Sutnesi, Ashe, Sutnubit, Ashe, Ani, Ashe, Ramanatu, Ashe, Cthulhu, Ashe, Hastar, Ashe, Azazel, Ashe, Azathoth, Ashe, Shabnigarov, Ashe, Dilahotep, Ashe, Yosatos, Ashe, Great Old Ones, Ashe, Great Ones, Ashe, Baal, Ashe, Bel, Ashe, Bel, Ashe, Anu, Ashe, Tahuti, Ashe, Perseus, Ashe, Apollo, Ashe, Hercules, Ashe, Pegasus, Ashe, Medusa, Ashe, Gorgon, Ashe, Cat, Ashe, Bass, Ashe, Bess, Ashe, Bahutin, Ashe, Ceres, Ashe, Cerberus, Ashe, Anpu, Ashe, Anu, Ashe, Anunnaki, Ashe, Dambawawaweo, Ashe, Gogo, Ashe, Laki, Ashe, Meletos, Ashe, Pan, Ashe, Sube, Ashe, Ilitutu, Ashe, Sahu, Ashe, Adon, Ashe, Aram, Ashe, Azazel, Ashe, Beelzebub, Ashe, Baal, Ashe, White Buffalo, Ashe, Dagon, Ashe, Demogorgon, Ashe, Hete, Ashe, Nimnon, Ashe, Nomo, Ashe, say Baraka, I say Ada, I say Ria, I say Alapi, I say Ometutu, I say Kosika, I say Kosiaru. Now get it out of it. We got one last line. Mercury, I say Raheru Kahudi, I say Newt, I say Vaz, I say Bell, I say Dionysus, I say Maya, I say Baphomet, I say Aset, I say Prometheus, I say Sutet, I say Melchizedek, I say Anpu, I say Aries, I say Hera, I say Maya, I say April, I say Orisha Oku, I say Mina, I say Nata, I say Anpu, I say Rakala, I say Vagameta, I say Makali, I say Bridget, I say Silk, I say Nervous, I say Cone, I say Sheba, I say Ogo Brelli, I say Moko Balapi, I say Moko Ikitu, I say Shutu Aleba, I say Kofuka, I say Baka Babawaya, I say to all gods known and unknown, to all ancestors known and unknown. So I guess I'm going to dedicate this lecture to a sister named Tootsie. The sister that just passed on, she was a real deal compulsive gambler. She made Atlantic City her home. And it ate her out her house and home too. But anyway, the sister made the transition. And this brother here it came down to visit me. He's been coming down the last couple of months. Brother named Brother Basisi. It's interesting because the more you gamble, the more rooms and the more food and more anything they get you when you go like to Atlantic City or when you go to Las Vegas. If you're a real deal gambler, they set it out. All the drinks and everything you want and stuff just to keep you gambling. So as a result, this sister used to go down there. I don't even think she used to go to the room. She just go straight to the slot machine. So this brother here took advantage of the situation and all because he got all the rooms and he used to go down there and lay up for a while up there in Atlantic City for free of charge and all based on, she paved the way with that. So I guess we want to, she made a transition recently, so we want to say just thanks for the hookup because what it was about a year worth of glamorous living, about 3 years, right? 3 years worth of Atlantic City and Trump Plaza and the exotic things that would have probably cost thousands of dollars, literally. But then again, that's the way they got you hooked. When you go down there, if you're a real deal gambler, they hook it up so you can get a free ride. But anyway, it was interesting because she made a transition, and it was interesting because last week, let's see, this week, this past week, last week, not the week that just passed, but week before last, I guess. Week before last, on Tuesday, I walked in the house, I think it was Tuesday morning, walked in the house and they found out that our phone lines had been cut. But I'm like, damn, it can't be the government because they ain't in the business of giving you a phone. So that they can keep a line of information going. So I know the government ain't cut nobody's phones off when they breaking in niggas' house to bug people. You saw an enemy of the state. So I know it wasn't the government, and I knew it wasn't nobody, no burglar or nothing, for the simple fact that it was a real nice neighborhood, but then again, on the other hand, that don't mean shit. But ain't nobody gonna break in no house and cut no phone wires and don't steal nothing. And leave no forced entry. So we knew that in actuality that we came to the conclusion that the only thing it could be was a ghost. But because my woman had seen the ghost about 3 times. Brother Basisi saw it once, and my younger brother, who's real psychic, saw it once. So we just figured that it was this ghost who was trying to figure out what was going on. Why would she come and cut these phone wires? So as a result, she just came that night. She told my girl that her name was Josephine, and she didn't say any more. And we tried to get some channels, tried to get some stuff to try to find out what was going on. And it came in my mind that maybe she wanted to be released. But it just went out. And the next day when my girl went swimming, when she hit the water, I think it all came to her. She came and said that, my name is Josephine, and basically, I've been, that was my house or whatever, and I want you, and the day is my birthday, which was not this past Thursday, but Thursday before last, was her birthday, and she wanted to go on, wanted to get the hell on out of Dodge. And so basically, we knew we had to do a ritual to take her on out, so but one of the keys was, I think how this whole thing went down was, because this is very interesting, because we know that based on the movie Sixth Sense, Ghost, Spirit Lost is one of those movies and all. There's a movie called, well, not necessarily Stigmata deal with this particular part, because the guy was kind of very well aware of what he was doing, the priest. But we talking about people who die and don't know that they're dead. Spirit Lost, Starry of Echoes, Lulu on the Bridge. There's a movie called Go Rent That with the movie with what's the guy name? I know Mira Savino is in the movie, and Harvey Keitel, Lulu on the Bridge. Some of the same science and stuff. So if you like Sixth Sense, that's one that I think it just came out at Blockbuster about 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. But anyway, in this movie, in these movies it shows that in actuality, and we already knew this, Brother C. Freeman L. used to say, you go out there and get hit in the street, get knocked out, somebody knock your astral body from your body and all, and you go home and, you say shit, you go home and knock on the door and nobody answer, because you don't know you're dead. So 2 or 3 things that happened. First of all, I believe that she probably, to not make the transition and still stuck in the house, that she didn't know she was dead. Then it could have went a couple of years that she probably figured it out that she was dead, just like they did on the guy did, like Bruce Willis did on Sixth Sense. Or also, but she was still trapped. She didn't know how to go. So one thing that happened was, about a month ago, Brother Bob Cece was there. We did a ritual, a healing ritual for him. And by pouring the actual libations and calling on the ancestors, the house got filled up with people. So when she saw all these people up in the house, and she probably was conversing with them and all that stuff, and then, then after the ritual, they got the hell on. She's like, hey, I want to go where they are. I need to be going where they are. And basically, because she saw that we had the ability to do it, then she said, I've got to make my presence be known. You see what I'm saying? If they can do a ritual, to bring these, and these are the people that I need to take us to the other side. So basically, it was on her birthday. Now, one thing I figured out too. Now, if she said that she wanted to leave on her birthday, and we didn't do it, and she got enough spirit, or she got enough know-how, she's learned enough to work her astral body outside of her physical body, that she can cut her phone wires, and you don't do it, then that means all hell gonna break loose. She did that to get our attention, but if we didn't do it, then all hell would break loose. You see, so basically, and so I had to go and do some stuff on the spur of the moment, because when we got home that night, Ginger was like, no, we got to do this tonight. She said she wants this thing on her birthday, which is more than fitting. That she leaves. She came down here on that day, so she leaves on that day. So basically, I built a little altar for her, and basically you go about basically what comes in your mind to do. And I put on some, it's going to put on some little spiritual music, the little drums and the little, ooh, that stuff and all. And so Ginger ran in and put on some Duke Ellington, and she said, I like that. So right then, So we put out the altar and all, and then I went and I got the book of Coming Forth by Day, or the Book of the Dead, because I understood that, Anubis or Anpu, Anubis is the guide to the other realm. So I said, well, we'll just do an Anubis ritual. So I got the book of Coming Forth by Day and went until I found the passage where they have an Anubis actually taking somebody through the underworld or whatever, guiding somebody to the other side. And I said, well, this will work as my actual form of the ritual. Then I went and got another book. It's a book called Greek Magical Papyrus, which in actuality, this papyrus was taken out of the Library of Alexandria. And they had one in there on how to release the soul from what binds it. So that worked. And then a couple other things, so we poured the libations, and I put up a big poster of Anubis and all. And then, and so basically what came to my mind by her being a Christian, which most of us are, that basically I would have to do a little bit of cross-reference. Well, if this is Anubis, you would know him as the one that comes before Christ, which would be John in the Bible, or Elijah. So to do the cross-references, well, this is so-and-so, this would be known as Jesus, we're dealing with Horus. And basically to acquaint her with what was going on. Then I called her ancestors down and told them to help her. And I told her to grab a hold to Anuba's hand, and then I told her that when she gets to the other side, she turned into this white horse, which is Pegasus, which is also a symbol of the Christ, and that would be a symbol of her soul going to the other way. And the actual other ritual, was the one of releasing the soul. What binds it, it literally had an actual thing where you open up the door and you let the actual the soul leave outside, leave out the door. So basically, we did the ritual, and we released her soul, and we realized, because it was real serene and real peaceful after she left. So you know that basically that was an indication that she had gone. But it was interesting because my brother had a child to die I think it was about a week old, and it died in like 91, and they cremated it. Well, it didn't die, the doctors killed it because I did this ritual to heal it, and once it was healed, I think I told this before, but it had the half a heart on Friday, and that Monday when it got to Philadelphia, it had a whole heart. And so the doctors killed the actual baby. Trying to go in and do some experiment to try to find out what was going on and stuff, because they knew, hey, this is money research shit. This is a miracle, So in so many words, and they convinced my brother and his wife to doggone let them deal with the baby. And I was like, shit, as soon as you saw it had a whole heart, you supposed to be hightailing it. Automobile, train, horse and buggy, bicycle, getting the fuck on out of Dodge.
Yeah, right.
But they let the damn cracker do that because that's how we are. We think that the doctors are God.
That's right.
So, so basically, but after the baby died, and it's interesting because they put the baby on the table to do the operation, and as soon as they put the little thing in the baby to try to cut it open, the ancestors took the baby. They was mad. But anyway, the baby, they cremated the baby. Which is interesting because we're going to deal with some stuff later on in the lecture based on something attached to the soul. And they cremated the baby, and they set the baby in the urn on the shelf or wherever in the house from 1991, from the fall of 1991 until this past summer. And all hell started breaking loose somewhere around the last couple of months of somewhere in the spring of the year, or somewhere in the spring of the year, at the beginning of 1999. And apparently the baby would have been 8 years old, and they said based on that time, because they went to a Bible Owl because it's having all these problems, And for those people who don't know, a Bible Owl is basically a year of a priest. And he did a reading and said that basically you got to release that soul because by the time it gets 8, you think you got problems now. If you go past this baby's birthday, all hell gonna break loose. Because that baby needed that soul to be released to go to where it needed to go. So it was basically stuck in a jar for 8 years. Which is very key because we'll explain this. How is this? Well, we'll explain this because the spirit is different than the soul. You see. And that's what you must understand. And we'll get into that as we go on. But anyway, the baby started raising all kind of hell. I like what you saw in Beloved. The people who saw the movie Beloved. So, but I think the Beloved case was really one that was going too far, So they were getting ready to have that too. And apparently we probably would have had that with Josephine and we didn't get her on up. But anyway, they had to go and rush down to Myrtle Beach to release the ashes in the ocean, because we either got to be running water, either a river or an ocean or something, to release those ashes before her birthday. And I think they literally did it on her birthday. You see, but it's interesting you got these movies coming out about the same thing. But then again, on the other hand, this is as we go into the lecture. It's not really something that's real spiritual. It's really an ugly thing that souls are actually trapped down here in the first place. To not know that they're even dead. And I suppose that because everything has an astral body in it, I believe that her furniture was still in the house also too. So basically, she was chilling in the same house that she was chilling in when she was alive. Although the furniture had long been moved out or whatever, the astral of the furniture, just as her astral body, was still there. So say basically she still was in the same dimension of the house. But I was like, because it would be a great indication if the house is empty that something is wrong and you stand around up in there. So I believe that her whole plane of existence of when she was alive was still in the actual house. Because all we're talking about, what is anything but memories and perceptions anyway? You see what I'm saying? So all of this particular stuff coincides all this particular stuff coincides. We got enough chairs, so if you know, there's plenty of you. Just have to go look up in here, but you'll find we got 2 up front too if you want to. You know, but anyway, that's very interesting. And we'll get into that particular part because it's very key. We'll get into that particular part, but right now what we're doing is we deal with a little bit of our hard copy on just drumming up things on the mundane plane on what's actually happening. Now, it's interesting here because we are truly slaves. I did a count of the amount of black stars and public figures married to, either married, was married, or whatever, long-term relationships with the Euros. And in so many words, we talk about over 105 stars. Now remember, there's not, even if you calculate the amount of stars that they even had in Hollywood, because remember the first 70 years was hardly virtually nothing. You know, we started getting a few stars in the 1950s, even less than that in the 1940s with the little Stephen Fetchit and, you know, whatever, sleeping, eating, you know, and those particular people. But we're talking about on the consortium, we're not talking about a great deal of stars. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking about a little over a couple of hundred, maybe, if we have that many. So basically, well, a little over 100. If you talk about all the amount of stars, movie stars and TV stars and even CD stars that we had in the past 70 years, we're talking a little over 100. So, but it's interesting because we got, the count was 105 stars. So that means that 98% of, if you got a little over 100 people, that's basically the historical count of stars, period. And then you would have you would actually have 105 people, you know, interracially hooked up. And what you're talking about here is literally 98%. You see what I'm saying? Of just about everybody. And the key here is, it doesn't have anything to do with everybody's everybody, it's just still showing you the psychological ramifications of us thinking that in actuality, success in anything better has to come through the European. But then again, on the other hand, we also know that this is also a form of mind control. This is also a form of mind control, which we'll also get into also too, a form of mind control. But we're talking about literally 105 stars, anywhere from James Earl Jones to, I mean, the list is extraordinary. Now, you got your Mr. Tate Diggs, man, everybody creeping over now. He got him one. You know what I'm saying? But then again, we wonder if that's doggone by design. You see, we wonder if that's by design. You see what I'm saying? You know, your boy Cooper Gooding Jr. and everybody just about, you know. So it's not like, so the search is not who is not hooked up with somebody of their own races. The search is not who is hooked up with somebody that's not of their own races. Who ain't hooked up with somebody. You see, that's the key. You know, but that's very interesting. But also going into some things, we must be clear about some things, because if you make the transition and you die and you don't have a certain amount of knowledge, then you are screwed, because basically what happened is you take the same consciousness with you that your previous life had. So therefore, this is a way to get stuck, and a way to get stuck. Fortunately now, a lot of black people are finding out after they make the transition that they don't have to actually come back down here and all. So that particular, one particular part, we'll entertain that question also too. But it's also key at this particular time that it also goes back to bear witness that if you don't have knowledge, you are not actually living. You see what I'm saying also. Now remember, recently they had the Coca-Cola scale over in Belgium or wherever. Over in Europe, period, you know, they had all these people getting sick off of Coca-Cola. Well, what really happened was, is that that Coke was meant for Africa and all other types of indigenous countries, you know, like Africa, your whole Caribbean, your third world, South America, and somehow the shit got switched up. And the white boys got it and ended up getting sick. So that goes to show you what they're basically, which is the norm for Africa. Every now and then the damn ship will break down and they got sick off of this particular stuff. And in actuality, what really happened was basically, that was saying? You see, but that's one of the keys, that when you see those types of things that's actually happening, there's something that's going wrong. Remember what your boy Jack Felder said about the vaccines in the 1960s, that, you know, he was working on the vaccines, and had the blue box that went to the white neighborhood, and the red box went to the black neighborhood, and then one day he and his boys switched up the boxes and say they don't know what the hell was in the boxes, but it took, 2 or 3 vans, trucks, and 2 or 3 helicopters to track that shit down, going to the white neighborhood. You see what I'm saying? So basically, this is one of the same aspects on what you have right there in the Coca-Cola. But then again, didn't you have somebody had some type of combination about the Coke, they're killing the people through the sodas?